Don't you hate it when you spend years boring your way through a magically sealed door only for its opening to reveal a cornucopia of vicious monsters waiting on the other side? Ones that instantly sprint through and tear down you and your mining collective. Truly a bummer scenario we've all experienced, and the exact situation we are creating a battle map for today, where the party will need to rush into this affair, defeat the remnant creatures which stayed behind to devour the supple and juicy NPCs, and then be able to walk through that door. Blasting into the operation, we'd drop a large gate that the NPCs inside have broken through. Preferably this would have been an open door, but there isn't a stamp for that, so this is fine. We'd then move on to walls. We're gonna make a cave battle map, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just sort of dropping the exterior down, and we're gonna just try to make it like a bit of a funky exterior design. I don't want to make it purely a rectangle. I think that could be like a little bit boring. As is always required in underground maps, we needed to place material behind the walls, and there wasn't a ton of good candidates for this. So we just went with the same materials as the wall themselves. Honestly, this is kind of looking good. It's got a bit of, I think I might like this better. I mean, I wish there were a bit more rocks than like the edge of a cliff stamp, but you know, they kind of get the feeling of a rock. So yeah, I think this is good. I think this is working out. Sashaying away from the walls, we'd focus in on the room's purpose and subsequent centerpiece. So this map is, you know, it's a drilling operation trying to get through a special door. So we need to have like a drilling operation around, right? And I think the steampunk stamps are gonna be our best bet. What we actually have, I don't know. This crane could be sort of a battering ram thingamajig. Yeah. Okay, cool. This crane stamp alone is a little tame and yawn worthy, so I'd lean on a tactic I've been using a fair bit lately. Chaining together some different machines with pipes to give the individual machinery stamps the sense that they are a part of a more significant, complex mechanical enterprise. When using stamps in a creative way that extends beyond what Inkarnate intends, I like to create an internal design language of sorts for the stamps. For example, there are some boiler stamps, and I always use them as power generators, or I use pipes as a mechanism to connect the various machines. It's the same logic as to why I use levers as beer taps on tavern maps. Even if this isn't A, exactly how the item actually works, or B, what the stamp is representing, if we commit to specific intents for the items and corresponding in-world uses of them, then our design interpretations become more valid, even if they don't actually make sense in reality. Within the logic of the map, they do, and that's perfect. This is the same type of reasoning I use when approaching putting unique items on boilers to make them look more like fancy machinery. The collection of items together realistically might not actually do anything, and the stamps we use as additions may not even be related to machinery. But I think they affect the idea they do, and in turn look really good. For this map specifically, we'd also remind ourselves of the attack and redesign these boiler situations accordingly. So something we need to keep in mind with this is like this place is currently being attacked. So I think there actually can be a little bit of broken machinery, and I think that'll come through when we place some of the other items. But yeah, let's definitely try to get a few more broken just stuff into the mix. It's something I sort of forgot about, where it's like, oh yeah, narratively, there's like broken stuff. So yeah, let's chuck that out there. Maybe this is when we can actually just have one electric. Yeah, I like the idea of just some fucking electricity just it's fucking beaming. Let's get it, make sure this that thing's on top. Yeah, I like the idea that there's just like some open electricity between that, just zoom, zoom. Moving slightly off the manufacturing to storage, it was time for shelves. At this point, I very lazily placed toolbox on these shelves, which was super underwhelming. Empty shelves can be so much more creatively utilized, and later I'd remedy this. With the factory aesthetic side mostly complete, we'd move to the second major aesthetic theme for this map. So we kind of have finished like the manufacturing side of it. So this is a mining operation, that's good. And I think the thing we can add to it that's on top of that is maybe just like a couple like chairs, a couple like beds, maybe some stuff like this, kind of get across that like people were like maybe semi-living here a little bit, like maybe not too crazy or anything, but like there was a little bit of this is where they were all the time. So they were like hanging out down here. As this is an icy snow cave mine, we draw from the logical associated stamp group, Frigid North. A collection I really like and honestly kind of use a lot, and it's filled with awesome frost-tinted bejangles. We placed a bunch of barrels around because that makes sense to have in a mine. We also placed table and chairs where the miners could chill and eat. On top of this, we added some beds to show that this operation is so significant and hasn't progressed in so long that they now have full beds down here. Not just sleeping bags, but actual full-fledged beds they've brought kilometers and kilometers deep into this mine. All the while weaving in some broken items to show show the attack, and some frozen items to show that this is an ice cave, but also to denote the frost enemies have an icy breath attack they've breathed onto items and made things all Frozo level frozen. Also, rocks. Yeah, this is like a small thing that I just think gives a little bit more accentuation to the wall. Like, it's not just like, there's a wall, and then that's it. It's like, no, there's like little rocks falling off the wall. It's not like this permanently good wall that has no sort of issues. It's like, yeah, just gives it a little bit more depth, which I think is coming through nicely. The final of our 3 main themes we wanted to depict was up next, the devastation of the attack. On the map is some corpses. So I think like wearing this garb is probably the right vibe. Like we can have a couple of these dudes that are a bit deaders. Yeah, I think we can have like, yeah, a few corpses like this. The battle is going poorly, and then we can have blood. More than just placing blood under corpses, we'd scatter some smaller drops towards the entrance of the cave to show that people had run away. A little bit of visual storytelling I'm a fan of, and something I like to get on my maps whenever possible. Building off the narrative of this attack and fleeing happening quickly, we added broken books scattered around, some half-eaten food on the table, and some other scattered materials flung about. Before we finished this map, we went through and added a grid layer, which would be placed underneath all the materials. A technique I think is much nicer looking than having the grid over the top of the whole map. It also brings a sense of depth, which I say in basically all my videos is highly desired in top-down 2D maps. This map would also be quite small, but because it's incredibly dense with items, most of the terrain is half movement, and there aren't a ton of amazing sightlines, so smart movement will be encouraged and rewarded. We also gave the enemies in this map an AoE damaging attack, so if the party just stands together at the entrance, they'll get absolutely rinsed. So this further encourages them to spread out and promotes creative mobility choices. As the map making drew to a close, we'd fix the shelf and give it a bunch of machinery parts. We'd space the items a little better, then we needed to add one more final touch: tools and weapons for the dead NPCs. Okay, and then broken tools. The last thing I said I was thinking that we can add is definitely some like axes, some pickaxes. So I think we can have some of these down, and we can even like just get regular tools, the non-broken version, and maybe put some of these in their hands. Yeah, we give some of these guys swords. That can be like a sword there. Yeah, these are just this is like the small thing I wanted to add. I was like, it needs a little bit more, but it's really good and close. With this last addition, we had completed our map. Cool, okay. Awesome. And I think we're going to end this map here. I really like that we've got the combination of like people worked here, people sort of lived here to a degree. You've got the established of that. And then you also have the attack, you know, you have some of the workers, you have some of the guards, and they've been killed. And it's like, yeah, the premise that it's like everyone else has run away, but it's like you have these corpses very much on the map. You have, you know, blood stains. And I like the idea of the blood stains trickling out at the exit, but it's a pretty small map, which I like. It was probably already close and compact to begin with. Like it was a mining operation in the middle of a cave. All the machinery and all the sort of stuff in the way really restricts movement. And even though it's not a particularly big map, that'll make it feel bigger because it's so cumbersome to get around. Seems perfect for Fireball. Oh yeah, well, name a situation which isn't perfect for Fireball. Oh, I'm negotiating with the prince? Yeah, Fireball. What are we doing? I really like this map. It was a ton of fun to use in session. And it's weird writing a script for a video after I've used the map. It's never happened before, but yeah, it went well. Good times, good map. If you want access to this map or the quest it's a part of, check out the Patreon, subscribe to the channel for similar D&D content creation. Thanks for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye!